Rabbi Friedman, thank God it's Tuesday. So great to be with you. Again, this is our weekly meeting, and I think today's conversation is very, very important because it looks like the world is running out of patience. And I looked in the dictionary because I wanted the exact definition of the word, and this is what the dictionary says. Patience, the ability to wait for a long time without becoming annoyed or upset. The ability to remain calm when dealing with problems or difficult people. I think we're kind of losing patience with the world in general. Need your wisdom, need Torah wisdom today to understand the importance of patience, and I think we need some teachings of Tanya of how not to lose it or to regain it, either or. Hello, Rabbi Friedman.
Well, in the annual study of Tanya, we're starting from the beginning, chapter 1 today. So if anybody had been thinking of following the annual schedule, today is the perfect day to start. Chapter 1. What it says in chapter 1, which surprised everybody at the time that the Tanya came out, is that you are not expected to be a tzaddik. You are not expected to be a saint. The saints, the tzaddikim, the holy, the truly inspired, they are like the generals of the army. We have a few generals, but the army is not made up of generals. The army is made up of soldiers of different ranks, but none of them are generals. And they are the ones who fight the war, who win the war, who change the world, with the help and guidance and instruction from the generals. So the average person is not even required or expected to be a general. You're expected to do your share. Wherever you find yourself, in whatever position, if you can contribute towards the victory, then that's exactly what you are meant to do, what is expected of you, and so on. So that takes a lot of pressure off. It also is a little humbling. The assumption that I could be perfect is already no good. Even the thought. So what does this have to do with the world we're in today and the patience? Part of what motivates us to reach higher is our impatience. We don't like the world the way it is, and we're not about to accept it. We're not about to surrender it. So the more impatient we become, in a healthy way, and with justification, because there's a lot going on that really should have ended a long time ago. People shouldn't be still struggling with those same immoralities or weaknesses. We should have made more progress. But if we don't accept it, and if we're impatient with it, then we'll do something about it. It's interesting that the Rebbe once blamed our patience with the world as it is on the godly soul. Not on our evil inclination, but the godly soul. He says the human soul, the evil inclination, is tired of being evil and of being human. So it's uncomfortable with the world as it is. It's ready for change. But the godly soul is so humble and so patient. Whatever God wants is fine. So another day of exile, another day without Moshiach. If that's what God wants, I'm fine with it. So the problem, the one fault of the godly soul is that it doesn't get impatient. That's strange. Like, too calm. You're just too serene. Sometimes you need to get a little impatient. That lights a fire under you, and you take an extra step. You go out of your way a little bit. If that's going to help, if that'll make a difference, you do it. Because enough already. Enough. But that doesn't mean I give up or surrender. On the contrary. Now, every time I try to do something good, I know why. I see the importance.
Rabbi Friedman, people are so tired of what is happening. It's just dragging on. And it interferes with being good. It really does. It can. It interferes with celebrating life, with being good to each other, with doing good things for the world. To the point that people can't have normal wedding celebrations. We're about to embark on a very, very happy holiday season for all nations. And people are very, very stressed out at this particular time about the fact that they cannot express their happiness. So, what would be advice?
It's always a stressful time, even without the corona. Holidays are stressful times for people because the expectation of celebration and joy when you don't have any joy is really depressing. During the rest of the year, you can say, I'm miserable and I'm probably supposed to be, and it's okay. But when the holiday season comes and you're supposed to be happy, that's really depressing. It backfires, So that's always the case. And people get into more accidents during holiday time, more suicides. That's also because we have too much free time, too many days off. And we don't know how to handle free time. We're really not good when we're unemployed. We need to be involved, engaged. When we're left to our own, we just don't know what to do with ourselves. So holiday time has always been a crisis time. Today, of course, it's much, much more isolating. But again, the human spirit will find a way of turning this lemon into a good drink too. So the fact that the holidays will be a little more local. You're not traveling anywhere. You're not going anywhere. So it's all very domestic. That could be a very good thing. A richer way of celebrating a holiday. Why do you have to go anywhere to celebrate?
Rabbi Friedman, you said that, we just celebrated the birth of Hasidism, the birth of my favorite teachings, the teachings of Tanya, which is, I call it the applied Torah. Basically something that makes it the wisdom of Torah a little bit, of Kabbalah, a little bit easier to understand, or a lot easier to understand, and something that we can actually use in our daily lives to gain control of our lives and to gain control of our emotions. So based on all these phenomenal teachings that we have, what would you recommend? What tools would you recommend for people now to use from these phenomenal teachings in order to gain sort of self-control and produce that happy feelings that we all want to have, not just around holiday times, but around all times.
I mean, one of the very common sense suggestions. What makes a person happy, and how is it expressed? On some level, we have this feeling that contentment, happiness, pleasure comes from total relaxation. If I had nothing to do, free of all responsibilities, no pressure whatsoever, and I could just lie on a beach with a drink in my hand, that would be perfect. It's not true. We try that. It doesn't work. You lie there and your brain cells are dying. You're deteriorating on the inside and getting a very nice tan on the outside. Real contentment and real happiness means I am so pleased to be doing what I'm doing. Not to be inactive and non-productive. Real happiness means I love the mission I was given. No mission, no happiness. If you don't love what you're doing, no happiness. So the first thing is we have to locate, what are we doing? Lying on the beach? No. That's not doing anything. So we have to identify, what am I doing? What is my life all about? See, lying on the beach is like, can I take a break from life? Can I just be and not have to live? Like, can I just relax and not have to breathe? Or there are people who get very excited and very alive when they can take a deep breath of fresh air. See, there's a difference. So, are you looking for the pleasure of not having to breathe? Or are you looking for the pleasure of the freedom of taking a deep breath? Are you excited about life? Or do you want a break? Stop the world, I want to get off.
I think everybody would agree with that statement right now.
Yeah, right. And they think that that would make them happy. But that's a mistake. Happiness doesn't mean inactive. Like, if I would get all my job done, all my responsibilities completed, then I would be happy. Not really. It's the act of fulfilling your responsibility that makes you happy, not the break from it. I mean, you ask the average kid in school, what's your favorite part of the school day? And of course, the answer is recess, which means not school. That's not a good answer. That means you're miserable for most of your day. A happy person is not going to find fulfillment or contentment when there is nothing left to do. They'll find contentment when they are thrilled, grateful, excited, enthusiastic about what they do need to do. So I think we need to change our expectations a little bit. Don't keep looking for the recess. Look for the joy of the school day, of the learning experience, which is active. It's demanding. You got to do something. You got to be engaged. But that brings happiness, not the disengaging. We're not stones that can sit on a beach forever and be perfectly content. We're human beings. The mind needs to be fed, the heart needs to be inspired, the body needs to be productive. We're not objects.
Absolutely not. And I think just by observing what is happening right now in the world, looking at how everybody is reacting to everything that is taking place right now, it seems that people are restless. Everybody around, people who are delivering information, people who are receiving information, people who already turned everything off, don't want to hear any information, and are just like kind of giving it up. This restlessness of the world right now. Rabbi Friedman, how can one be excited, enthused, happy when they feel that feeling of limbo and restlessness? What should one do to motivate oneself to have proper emotions, the good emotions, the emotions that develop good energy and bring good energy to the world?
One of the benefits you get from studying Tanya, which I'm sure you've noticed, Tanya doesn't celebrate, doesn't have any respect for doubts. In the world today, in the secular world, in the academic world, doubt is revered. A person who doubts everything is the smartest person in the classroom. If you have a definite opinion, you're dogmatic, you're a fanatic, you're intolerant. Isn't that amazing? Only a few months ago, the only people who were dogmatic and intolerant and opinionated and bigoted were religious people. See, religion made you dogmatic because you know everything. You are right. All of a sudden, it was taken away from us. We've been robbed. Fanaticism and extremism has been stolen from the religion. It seems like religious people are the least extreme these days. Maybe we should try being a little more fanatical.
We're the boring ones.
The fanaticism on politics and the fanaticism on health, the fanaticism on the environment, the fanaticism on money, it puts religion to shame. So that fanaticism is a sign of desperation. If you say, I'm absolutely convinced that the religion is right, that's not fanaticism. When you say, I'm absolutely convinced that I'm right, that's fanaticism. And fanaticism of that type comes from insecurity and from doubt. When everything is doubtful and you don't know anything for sure, you become a fanatic. Isn't that interesting? Being open-minded on all matters makes you desperate. And when you're desperate, you become fanatical. Because you have to blame your desperation on somebody. And once you locate who is responsible, who is the culprit, who caused your indecision and your doubts and your instability, once you find out who did this to you, that's it. There's the enemy. Now you're hyper-focused on that, and you become a fanatic. So one of the things that we really need to do to keep our equilibrium is stop with the doubts. Don't be doubtful about everything. Now, these last 8 months have brought in a lot of doubt, a lot of confusion. We just don't know what's going on. We don't know who to believe. It's like, I'm so confused. I'm going to look up the truth. Where are you going to look? Where are you going to look? In a newspaper? You're going to go online? Who's going to tell you the truth? Nobody. Nobody. You cannot get the truth about the economics of the country, our economy. This one says we're going up. This one says we're going down. We're headed for a depression, a recession. This one says we're going to be rich. This one says... Nobody tells you the truth because they don't know. So when it comes to the economy, we don't know. When it comes to the health of our country, we don't know. We have no idea who to believe, who's telling you the truth, who knows the truth. Probably nobody. When it comes to religion, we are so confused. I'm not talking about people who are not religious. The people who are religious are so confused about their own religion, about their own faith, about their own dogma. It's torture. It's like having the rug pulled out from under you on every topic, on every subject, on everything you thought you knew and could trust. All of a sudden, we can't trust anybody. That is disturbing. It's more disturbing than the virus. It's more disturbing than war. A country at war is in a lot of pain. But if they don't know what they're fighting for, that is much more devastating than the war itself.
I'm so glad you said this, because I was actually, when I was thinking about our topic today, that's exactly what I was thinking. Life is not bad. We're not hungry. We're not getting hurt physically. Yet the feeling inside is devastating because of exactly what you're saying. Nothing makes sense. No one knows where things are coming from, where they're going, and how long this is going to last.
So I think that in the past, when a country or even a continent suffered from this kind of loss of direction, confusion, to make things, bring things back to reality and make things real again, they would go to war with somebody. That was part of the purpose of war. War was, okay, now we're serious. We're doing something very serious. Now we know what we need to do. We need to fight. We need to win. We need to kill. We need to destroy. Focused. I have a purpose. The problem today is the whole world is sharing the same confusion. Who are you going to fight with? You can't even go to war. Now that's desperate. We can't even make war? Now what? So I think the doubts have to go. And not by becoming a fanatic. The doubts have to go because there really are no doubts. There really are no doubts. There is knowing and there's not knowing. We don't know what's going on. Does that make us doubtful? Does that mean we're confused? No.
I would say yes to both of them.
We just don't know. How long do you think this flu is going to last? You think it'll be over by the summer? Oh, I doubt it. You doubt it. As if you know. What are you doubting? What are you doubting? You have no idea when this thing is going to be over. Nobody does. So what do you say? Oh, I doubt this is going to last much longer. Don't doubt. Just say, I don't know. Because you really don't know, and there's no doubt about it. So why create this unidentifiable, mushy, unclear, and unstable attitude towards everything? Well, God, I doubt it. I have my doubts. I have doubts. You don't have doubts, you have gaps in your information. You're missing information. You don't know. Now, there's nothing wrong with not knowing. There really isn't. Because all the knowledge in the universe is a tiny drop in the bucket of what there is to know. It's always been that way. So when we say, I know, yeah, you know a little bit. There's so much more you don't know. Is that a problem? It's a crisis. It's not a crisis. I don't know. I'd like to know. And there's no one to ask. There's no doubt about that. So what are you doubting? It's all very clear. It's yes or no. It's like the computer, the internet. It's yes or no, 1 or 0, positive, negative. That's it. Now, if we take away all the doubts and just admit that we don't know, then the desire to know becomes more focused. What don't I know? How do I get to know? It's not a crisis. It's a learning experience. It's a very human experience. It's not a sign of weakness. It's what the human being does. A new phenomenon arises. We're faced with a new challenge. We got to find out what it is, study it, understand it, and master it. That's the human process. I've been doing this since the beginning of history. The media is insanity. We don't know what's going on. We hardly ever do. Don't scream about it. Don't make big headlines. News. You wake up in the morning. Great news. We don't know. That's not news. Stop twisting it and spinning it. We don't know when, we don't know how, we don't know where, we don't know who to believe. Okay, I get it. We don't know what this thing is. So calm down, engage your mind, and figure it out. To panic over the fact that we don't know? Why, is not knowing some new experience foreign to the human being? It's the media. It's terrible. It's the best of all things and it's the worst of all things. For our generation, the internet is the biggest blessing. But the mass media is the biggest curse.
I'm now doubtful about the internet as well.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes. Because
we can say that without any doubt whatsoever.
Now, the internet has those algorithms that also mess with you, so I don't know how good that is. I'm beginning to wish for all of it to disappear.
I was talking to a group of kids over the weekend. How do we know the Torah is true? Just a very simple, innocent question. How do we know the Torah is true? And the answer is also so simple. It's not philosophical. It's not theological. It's not rocket science. How do we know it's true? It claims to be true. Nothing else does. Nothing else does. It's not like you have choices. There's only one statement of truth in history, and that is the Torah. The New Testament comes along and says, "Well, I'm part of it. I'm the addendum. I'm the epilogue of that which is true." But the Bible is true. So is Shakespeare true? Shakespeare doesn't claim to be true. What are you making an issue out of a non-issue? Which is true, Shakespeare or the Bible? What kind of question is that? Shakespeare doesn't claim to be the truth.
News claims to be the truth.
Not really.
Not lately.
No, it claims to be the fact, not the truth. There's a difference. I think we've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
There's a difference between fact and truth. Fact is a fact. What it means is, this is the way it happens to be. Like, you don't want this reality, but the fact is, that's the way it is. Truth means the way it's meant to be. What has to be. Like, what is the truth of a human being? What's my truth? The fact is, that I'm not good at math. The fact is that I'm afraid of germs. The fact is that I don't have to be any of these things. But I happen to be. So most of the differences between us are differences in fact. Even male and female. It's a fact. It's a real fact, and don't mess with it. Don't mess with the fact, right? But is it the truth? I have to be male? I happen to be male. And I got to deal with that. It's real. So there are two realities. They're both real. One is real because it happens to be, and the other one is real because it has to be. A Jew, the fact that I'm a Jew, is also my truth. That's what I was created for. It's not how I was created, it's what I was created for. So in everything, you take a look at a stone lying in the field. The fact is, it's a stone. Stones don't move. Stones are heavy. They don't sing. They don't dance. They don't have moods. Those are facts. The truth is that it serves a purpose in God's plan. In other words, it is necessary for the completion of the plan. So it doesn't just happen to be there, it needs to be there. That's really what we call the soul. The soul of everything is the essential existence, not the existence that happens to be. Even in Torah, you can read many books on Torah, many commentaries, modern commentaries, ancient commentaries. You have to notice and pay attention. You read a commentary on a word in the Torah or a story in the Torah, and that's nice. It's enlightening. It's instructive. It's interesting. It's even a pleasure. Is that what it says and what is meant by? Not necessarily. That's not the soul of Torah. The soul of Torah is what has to be. The meaning that can't be otherwise. So we know there are many opinions and there are many ways of looking at a story. 10 people can come up with 10 different versions of the story. But what version must be? What is essential? That's what we should always be looking for. So the world is really messed up. But that's just a fact. It's not meant to be messed up. It doesn't need to be messed up. Right now, it happens to be messed up. But we can't be so intimidated by a fact that we forget the truth. This has been our secret of survival. Nations that focused on the reality of the facts of their lives don't exist anymore. They were overwhelmed by the facts. Those nations that refuse to recognize the facts, they're not here anymore either. They just starved to death. Survival, particularly for the Jewish people, the history of the Jews, is that we never ignore the facts, but we never worship them. The facts are never the last word on the subject. For example, the fact was that under Stalin, there was not going to be any Judaism. And come on, it's a fact. The fact was you could not teach your children the Aleph Beis, you could not teach them to do a mitzvah. You couldn't. You're risking your life, you're risking the school's life, the child's life. You're risking everything. And the chances of getting away with it were so slim. So, factually, Judaism was over. The Chabad reaction was, okay, that's a fact, a reality, so we're going to have to go underground. You can't ignore the fact, but you also can't give up the truth. So yes, our children are going to learn Aleph Beis. Of course they're going to. But because of the fact, we're going to have to move everything to Uzbekistan. And even there, keep it a secret, go underground, don't tell anybody, change the names and wear masks. So you deal with the fact because it's real, but you keep your eye on the truth, because in the end, when the facts and the truth don't match, the facts will surrender and the truth will prevail. That's our secret.
Rabbi Friedman.
And we're willing to say it openly and loudly on the internet.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for doing it on our radio. Unfortunately, we have only 3 minutes to go, but it's very, very important to let our audience understand how to tell apart fact and truth. Because sometimes it's a little confusing. A lot of the time, actually, like now. Okay. I think certain things that are rather obvious. Politics is factual. It is not true. It's not true. Is it the Democrats or is it the Republicans? Well, that's a matter of fact. Either this one wins the election or that one wins the election. Either they're running the country or they're running the country. Those are facts. Does any one of them need to be running the country? Is one of them more true than the other? No. That's why the Rebbe advised Reagan, that when he meets with Brezhnev, he should not criticize communism.
Because communism is a fact. Don't talk about facts. Because democracy is also just a fact. So don't argue about your fact and my fact. They're both facts. They happen to be. When two leaders get together and they want to accomplish something significant, talk about truth. So instead of criticizing communism, just talk about human dignity. Because that's true. And that's how communism collapsed. The fact surrendered to the truth.
Isn't that what the world is fighting for right now?
Mm-hmm.
For dignity?
So communism did it, now democracy has to do it too. Surrender the facts to the truth. So finances, politics, science, those are all facts. The only claim to truth is the Torah. So the question of how do you know the Torah is true? Well, give me an alternative. It's not like there's a lot of competition claiming to be the truth. There isn't. Even Buddhism doesn't claim to be the truth. It claims to be the facts. The facts. Your soul comes and it goes and it circles and it's an animal and then it's a vegetable and then it's a human and then it just cycles that way until you do something. That's not what has to be.
Rabbi Friedman, then I'm just going to go back to the original topic of today, patience. How much more patient do we need to be? How much longer in order to see the truth?
No. Don't get patient. God forbid. Stay impatient. Maybe become even more impatient. Because we gotta get this thing done. So the impatience is, how much longer are the facts going to conflict with the truth? That's a fractured universe. It's a fractured world. Fact and truth should match. They should be in sync with each other. When they're not, something is disturbed. And we should not be patient with that. We've been patient way too long. We've allowed the facts to drift further and further away from the truth.
Are we close to that combination of truth and facts? Hopefully.
It's a strange thing to say, but I think communism gets a lot of credit for being the first one to surrender. It's the first fact that surrendered to the truth. Now religion has to do it. Christianity, Islam, has to surrender its facts back to the truth. It's not what could be, what happens to be, it's what must be. So to debate whether we should be stricter, enforce the laws more, be more lenient, those are just facts. Stop debating facts. Get back to the truth. Because the facts will eventually surrender to the truth.
Amen.
And the truth is uniting, not divisive.
Looking forward to that moment very, very much. I think all of us are at this point. So, Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much. Thank you for this enormous amount of wisdom that we have received today, as we do absolutely every week. And thank you for the Tanya classes that we can hear daily, actually, on your website. It's goodtoknow.org. And just want to wish you a very, very good week. And hopefully maybe this is the week that the truth and the facts will come together. Well, we can hope.
I doubt it.
Well, Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
for your time, wisdom, and enlightenment.
Sei gesund.
Sehr gesund. Thank you very much.